So, dear friends, as the director of this institution, it's me to say a few closing remarks. I think in the schedule it says 20 minutes, now it's only 4. Good luck for you. And also to me, you have had to listen to me yesterday night extensively, so I will keep it short now. And at that point, let me just express my thankfulness to all of you who have actively participated in this conference. It gave certainly to me a new perspective or new perspectives on the crime of genocide and genocide denial. I have to admit that I don't like the crime of genocide, not because of its social appearance, but as a lawyer, it's been crafted to address the Holocaust. And it fits perfectly to the Holocaust, although it was never applied to the Holocaust. But as history never repeats itself, it doesn't really fit to any other of these situations, at least not easily. So I don't really like it. And we have seen also in this conference, first of all, how important it nevertheless is. The term as such is of immense importance, and it raises feelings for those who have suffered, for the survivors, but obviously also the perpetrators. So this is why we have such an intensive discussion about it, and are thinking about criminalizing denial of genocide. And on the other hand, it causes also discrimination. I think we have heard this here today too, because when you can claim to be a victim of a genocide, you are sort of a premium victim. If you're a victim of a crime against humanity, you have a lower standard. And it seems, so in particular in the Bosnia situation, where the court declared Srebrenica as a genocide and all these other massacres as simply as crimes against humanity, you have an imbalance here. So it causes discrimination, even the application of the law. So I don't like the law of genocide, but I've heard and learned so incredibly many new things from all of you here. It's also interesting when you look at our topic, if we can say, can we have a result? Can we have now something to really summarize? Yes, we can. When we asked genocide denial should be criminalized, most of you said yes in the poll that we had. When we asked, will this be effective? You said 50-50. You weren't so sure. It's an interesting gap that for one side it should be criminalized, but then you have doubts whether it is actually effective. But there's maybe effective. There's maybe some of the symbolism in it that I claimed when I started out in being part of this first panel, that it is, as a matter of principle, a matter of symbolism, maybe an important approach to ask or to say why we criminalize genocide denial. Now, what I also learned or what I also would like to thank you for and appreciate very much of you being so open and to open up and bring your stories, your personal stories with us into this discussion. I think that was new to the Nuremberg Forum, which is usually a very sober, abstract legal discussion. And this time it was a little bit different, and I appreciate that very much, that you bring these stories in. And of course, we started out with an interview of Honoré and Munira to give this problem a little bit, this genocide, a little bit of something tangible to put empathy on. And I think that worked out. It helped us to open up and discuss to the depth the problems that we wanted to address. And what also became clear, I think, are the situations that we looked at, Bosnia, Rwanda, the Holocaust, and a little bit of South Africa even in the last panel. They are so different, and we have to look at the circumstances to fully understand also the measures and the tools, the methods that we can apply to reconcile. Maybe not in every situation criminalization of genocide denial would be necessary, but in others, yes, and maybe after some time has elapsed, This is something that we experience in Germany. We had the norm since 1964. We hardly ever applied it. And now, after the last 10 or so years, where neo-Nazism is gaining again, it's necessary to stress that we have that norm, and then now we imply it and prosecute. And maybe this one thing also, David, what you said about the necessity and David, there he is. What happens in a trial, right? And you might even give the denials a platform if you try. But on the other hand, and this is also something that I feel very strong about this room, because in this room, the National Socialism in Germany was delegitimized by this proceeding. So you have a delegitimizing, effect even in a trial against genocide denial. It's just something to think about. Well, these differences in these circumstances have to be taken into account. And yes, something that has also came out as being so important is the question of education. And in my understanding, obviously, education is not only about communicating facts. That's an important issue. But what you do as a teacher, as an educator, is to try to form a morally responsible personality. And, the knowledge of facts is an important issue in that. Of course, the knowledge of history is, but it's more than just the knowledge of facts. It's the entire human being with its moral and ethic implications. But this one thing that is maybe the greatest challenge that we are facing today is the new means of communicating. And we haven't really come to terms with it. Sometimes I have the impression we haven't even started to come to terms with it, or to sort of adopt our way of communicating to the way that even maybe our children communicate. It has been stressed that facts are not so important. Emotions come in and they mingle, they are mixed together. So how do we actually deal with that? We have not even started to really look at that. There's a real revolution in communication going on, and I think it's important to keep that in mind and to address this over and over again. At the end of the day, what was stressed in the last panel was also the call for solidarity and to exchange, and build networks also between the places of remembrance. Being now responsible for such an institution, I know, of course, that we always say, let's network, let's work together, let's exchange ideas, and then we are all heavily understaffed, and we never meet because nobody writes a concept note about that. But now organizing such a conference is a start, and I would like to invite you to, keep in contact, and we might follow up on this by keeping, busy with looking at this topic. I've spoken to Alice and to Gordon, to Greg about it. Maybe we can even try to draft a policy paper, or maybe try to draft some model laws, whatever. Let's keep this idea burning a little, and try to come up with something, even if today here, already speaking for 10 minutes, but I can't find a solution to all our problems. But maybe if we continue to be working on it, maybe 1 or 2 points we can actually have a common understanding. So at the end of this conference, it's my great pleasure to thank so many. First of all, Alice and Serge, my thank goes out to you, both of you, because you have been, the idea giver of this conference. It was your sort of suggestion to work together on that, and it was wonderful how we then put our ideas together and came up with this conference. I thank all my staff, being at the back office that you don't see here, but maybe you've been communicating with Frauke and Petra and others about flight and remunerations, something like that. I thank all the moderators. That was also something that we had changed compared to the last Nuremberg forums, where we always had external moderators, and that worked well. But I thought a little bit more of academy ownership would do good, so I asked my staff to prepare, and I think they did a wonderful job, all 5 of them. Thank you so much for all the effort, and obviously also thank you to Laurel, the only moderator who was not from the Academy, but also sort of from the organizational side of this conference. And special thanks in particular to Alexander. You have seen him as the master of ceremony. He has led us to this program over the last 3 days and also had the lead in preparing this conference. Thank you so much, Alexander, for this work. Now, as indeed the last point in this program is a visit on the Nazi Party rally grounds. This is obviously a place of the perpetrators. Here in Nuremberg, where for several years the National Socialist Party convened in sometimes huge celebrations of their ideology, where they seduced the masses and they voluntarily cheered, flew flags, and got drunk. I can only sort of encourage you, I think it doesn't rain, it might be a little windy, but it should be quite warm outside, that you go and see the immense dimensions that the National Socialist Party leaders and their architects had in mind when thinking about the new Germany that was supposed to be erected. You know, when I listened to the panel, and we were talking about education, this legend or this picture of these 2 wolves that are fighting within us came to my mind. Do you know that story? There are 2 wolves fighting within each of us. One is sort of representing the evil and egoism and hatred, and the other one is symbolizing love and goodness and compassion. And so they struggle, and when you ask yourself who will win, the answer is the one you feed. And you can see obviously all in these rooms, they feed the good wolf. And I encourage you to continue doing this. But what happens when you feed the evil wolf, that you can see on the Nazi Party rally grounds, because this definitely was put in place in order to feed this evil wolf inside of us, to produce hatred, to produce the discrimination and disrespect for human beings. And this is something that we definitely have to be aware of and say stop to anyone who starts to speak in this direction. And this is, after all, also something why we were talking about genocide denial, because there is the fear that by denying genocide, you will actually encourage more and continuing discrimination, hatred, and war. Thank you so much. Apart from you wishing you a good journey back, I won't come to the Nazi Party rally grounds. I have to prepare for the next event that takes place here tonight. The Long Night of the Sciences has a show of trials here in this room tonight starting at 6:30, and I have to prepare for that. But I know this with Astrid, you will be in good hands for the tour of the Nazi Party rally grounds. Stay in contact, have safe travels back home. Thank you for being with us. Keep us in good memories, and I hope to see you back here soon. Thank you so much.